But speaking of language, Daniel, and bad language, here are just some of the insults. We even had to beep a couple. We've got higher standards than the ABC. The insults that Liberals and national politicians used against each other in the three-part series called Nemesis that the ABC's been running about the Abbott, Turnbull and Morrison governments. It is incredible how they speak about each other. Have a listen.
Terrorists.
Arrogant asshole.
Despised. Ungracious.
Selfish.
Superficial.
Narcissism.
Idiot.
Smug.
Thug.
One of the nastiest people. Turd.
Duplicitous. Fool.
And that's not all of it. What does that tell you, Daniel?
Well, it tells me a couple of things, Andrew. I think there's only one of the three former prime ministers that are the subject of that documentary to come out looking better than what they went in, and that was, of course, Tony Abbott, because he quite wisely decided not to participate despite the ABC badgering him to do so. And the bigger thing here, Andrew, I think is the ABC has probably inadvertently done the coalition a big favour, because if you watch the documentary series, what it reinforces is just how critical values and principles are. So much of that series is based on personalities and conflict and relatively trivial matters. But when you look at the victory in 2013 that brought the coalition into government, that was one based on values and principles of getting rid of the bad taxes, stopping the boat, starting the process for federation reform and tax reform and many other such matters. And then it devolved into matters pertaining to personality. So, look, I hope that any of the Liberals that were watching that series would say, look, this is an important reminder that we have to fight on values and principles and do what's right for the national interest, rather than getting stuck in personality disputes.
It's also a reminder, do not go on ABC programs talking about how smart you were in government or who stabbed who and all that. Just shut the hell up. I mean, it's terrible for the party. But Evelyn, Malcolm Turnbull seemed to be sending out the most insults and getting the most as well. What a negative force. And I think the Liberals are actually, they look much better without someone like, they say, oh, he's a brilliant man, much better without someone like that in there.
Absolutely. Look, it's very clear that he doesn't like his colleagues and his colleagues obviously don't like him. And to be honest, I think most of the Australian public probably feel the same way too, especially after watching this documentary series. And that's simply because he was never really a true Liberal to begin with, and it was clear. But this whole Nemesis series, it just seems like such anti-Liberal party propaganda, and you can see it by when you look in the comment section under everything. Everyone has walked away from that going, the Liberal Party is scum. And I just keep thinking, as opposed to the other lot, I mean, are we just going to wait on the edge of our seats for season 2 with the Gillard, Shorten and Rudd like stabbing in the back debacle? Ooh. Perhaps we will have to wait for season 2. But, you know, let's be real, it's the ABC. I'm not sure we'll get season 2 with that take on it. You know, as we mentioned before there, I think the ABC is sadly more interested in one-sided things than the alleged objective and impartial journalism that they're supposed to give us with our taxpayer-funded money.
Now, Evelyn, you make a good point, right? And I suspect if they do a show like that, I have seen, fair enough, Labor Party people talking about Kevin Rudd in the most unflattering terms on the ABC. But I'm afraid that here I'd say that the propaganda you're talking about came directly from the mouths of the Liberals or ex-Liberals and Nationals that they interviewed. This is the issue. Just don't go on the show. Just put a cork in it. Just, Daniel, quickly before I go, Victoria's blackout. What do we learn from this? Just that high winds knock over power lines, so what?
Well, I think it's more than that, Andrew, and I know you've been discussing facets of this on your program earlier, but I think there's a broader issue here, which I believe this could be the beginning of the end of the national electricity market, which covers about 80% of the country, everywhere other than WA and the Northern Territory. Because basically you have a situation where every other state is cross-subsidising the bad decisions of the Victorian government. The hydro is getting sucked out of Tasmania. The coal-fired power is getting sent down from Queensland and from New South Wales. The prices go up for everybody. And so the whole point of the national energy market was to deliver an efficient and productive energy system based on low-cost, reliable energy. And we had achieved that. It was one of the key achievements of the microeconomic reform era of the late 1990s. But over recent recent years, it's become weaponised for ideological pursuits, foremost around achieving net zero. So it wouldn't surprise me if states start backing out of the system.